Well, hey, kid, it's glad you're here. It's like midnight here. 12:07 a.m. here on. So I guess it'd be Monday morning. I know I've been away for a while, and I am sorry for that. And I don't know how long that will continue. I hope not long. My intent is to be here with great frequency. But here's the situation, right? I'm just going to give you the lowdown. I have been working, as you know, on trying to present why and how, right, I see the way things are unveiling around us. It appears, from what I can tell, that we are, in fact, coming into perhaps the penultimate, just before the final moments of human history. Seems that way, like it might be. There have been a chorus of voices throughout the entire time, pretty much, saying that this will never happen, that all things are as they were from the beginning, and they haven't changed, and never will they change. However, for those who do see evidence of a creator, in fact, for those who have taken the further step to try to get to know and be in a relationship with their creator, what we have found is that they are good and trustworthy. And despite our kind of human hubris and our curiosity, our desire to know things, he's not always great at telling us all the things we want to know, but certainly telling us the things that we need to know. And that seems to be enough if we trust him, if we find out through our relationship that he is good, not through a belief system, not through convincing ourselves, that if we hope hard enough, if we do the right things, if we say the right things, that somehow we'll unlock some secret key. When it is really far more simple than that. It is simply the matter of being in relationship, of not only getting to know, but becoming in simpatico with, to recognize that the person who is our creator is of such vast proportions, who is so enormously larger than us in every way, including our propensity for good. And yet, despite our experience in this world that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that those who desire to have power are the least well-suited to wield it. Nevertheless, in one of the great conundrums, the most powerful being in existence has no shadow of darkness in him and is the very definition of love. And that's not me trying to convince you of it or sell you on anything. I do invite, however, anybody who is curious, who is sincere and honest, to simply go find out and ask. That's what I did. But the reason for... and again, if you've been following along for any period of time, you know that I've been undergoing some health challenges over the last few years and largely unable to be diagnosed. We did finally get a diagnosis for the first issue, the one that was causing so much problem for so long, myalgic encephalomyelitis, largely related to delamination of the myelin sheath that surrounds your nerves. And so that creates all kinds of problems, as you can well imagine. One of which is that you get orthostatic intolerance. It makes things very, you don't recover from any sort of activity. And so even the smallest amount of exertion leaves you just exhausted. And so it's a very difficult thing to manage. And often, miss and undiagnosed. And I now know several people who have had similar circumstances. And so, frankly, in comparison, I'm in a much better place. It didn't take me 10 years, like some of them. Or being constantly fought by, a medical system that doesn't believe them. Now, I have certainly run into that a couple of times, but overall, it has been, it's a diagnosis of exclusion, right? There's no direct test for it. You have to kind of rule everything else out, and so it's a very long, complicated, and difficult process that I've been going through for the past better part of 4 years now. And then just after kind of got that figured out, right in the midst of some other things, I began having some other neurologic issue, which was even more profound and presented much like late-stage Parkinson's, although it is not. The tests rule that out, and we're trying to still figure out what that is. But the results of it are that I pretty much immediately lost my job, and that meant income, and so that meant all kinds of things. Yeah. So this is not a bitch session. I'm not here to complain and go boohoo. I'm just going to catch you up here. So we've had to make some very quick and rapid, adjustments to certainly the loss of my income. I had hoped that even though, hoped, it's not probably the right word, but I had anticipated that despite my reticence to do so, having paid into the Social Security in the United States here for all my life when I worked, that I would be able to file for disability and get at least something monthly to kind of help keep me going. I did file for that, and then much to my chagrin, discovered that although I had been self-employed for the last, decade and a half or so, and you file taxes somewhat differently, but you file as a contractor, and so when you get paid a contractor, and so at the end of the year, instead of giving you a W-2, they give you a 1099, which tells how you got paid. And I didn't have taxes taken out because I do that myself with the tax guy, but they do take out the FICA tax, right, the Social Security, and in that case, it's 6.2%, which is half of the 12.4%, which is ultimately, it's a matching thing between you and your employer, irrespective of whether you work as a contractor or an employee. So they have, over the 7 years that I've been working for them, taking that out. It's fine. It's not a lot as a percentage. Again, about 6.2% as a percentage. So not a lot, but, substantial, especially over time. Anyway, when I went to go place to do a filing to get disability through Social Security, they said they didn't have any record of me having worked in the past 7 or 8 years. Well, wait, what? It appears that the employer, while taking that out, did not actually report it. So that's going to create an interesting situation. So I'm going to have to pursue that. And, of course, they would not themselves. Social Security said no. I said, they said, well, you can call them up and ask them. Like, well, if they're okay with lying to me over the 7 years that I worked there about, whether or not they were sending in my taxes, I don't suppose they'll be honest with me now. And she agreed. And I said, so I would hope that you would call them, and that maybe that would give them a bit of impetus, not to lie to a federal agency and they go, oh no, we don't do that. That's up to you. So yeah, that certainly shook things up. So that led into, sort of cascading failure over the last month. And so now everybody, I've been trying to keep on top of everything, and it's just not going to happen. So beginning tomorrow, everything is going to start collapsing, cascading failure. And again, I'm not here to, beg or what. I'm just here to go, hey, this is what's going to happen, right? So tomorrow, I got to figure out something, and I'll talk to them, of course, and see what we can do. There are probably programs available, but we're way behind on our utility bills, certainly the electricity. And so they're going to shut that off tomorrow. I can't even believe I'm telling you this, but same with our phone service. Even though we changed everything and cut it to the minimum, our TV service we completely shut off. We only have internet, so no services of television, but just the other stuff, the insurance and everything. We had to pay rent and everything first, so we do that, and we'll see what's going on with food. But already after paying the bills this month, it's the 10th, and it's all gone, and we're still not paid up. So I need your prayer. I'm not asking for your money. If you want to give it, that's fine. It's super great. It will help, but that's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for prayer desperately. We're in a spot. And then to add insult to injury, I get all this sort of stuff going on. And then over the weekend, I got a knock at the door very hard. And landlord, right? And he starts screaming at me. I'm like, what's going on? And apparently, so where we live, it's like a little cul-de-sac thing. It's a senior living community thing, right? A bunch of tiny houses, and we live in one. And so there's a dumpster off in the back where you take your trash. They don't have a recycling thing, even though we separate our recycling, and it just doesn't matter because they don't have that. Anyway, so typically what I would do is, once we fill up a trash bag, I just kind of set it. We have off our porch, I have a little trash bin, whatever. So I put it in there, and then when we get a couple of them, I take them out. Because there you go. Anyway, apparently overnight, raccoons or squirrels or something had jumped into the trash and knocked it over and torn it. So a bunch of trash everywhere. So he was all pissed off, right? Then he's not going to hear about, well, it wasn't that way before. It wasn't that way when I went to bed. Anyway, So he started screaming, basically going, you have to find a new place to live, if you don't clean it up. So there's the threat of eviction for no reason. We've been, never been late or done anything untoward whatsoever. We've taken care of mostly all of our problems here in the last 5 years or so that we've lived in this place. So, he just kept saying, "We're going to have to find." He kept saying, "We're going to have to find another place to live." I'm like, "Fine, I'll pick that stuff up and take it off to the dumpster. It's not a problem. It's just something that happened overnight. We'll fix it." And then I went out and checked the mail, and so I hadn't checked the mail out at this mailbox for a couple of days. Usually everything goes to the post office box. Anyway, there was a note in there. He's upping the rent again. So he had already upped the rent like $300 a year ago, and now he's going to do it another $100. Okay, so you do want us to leave. Okay, for no reason, right? I mean, we don't cause any problem. We're very quiet, ready to go outside. Anyway, it does seem like all the signs are pointing to what I already knew, that it's time to move on. It's time to go elsewhere, and so we're going to do that. But if you can, just pray for us, right? So if I don't appear, if you don't hear from me in about a week online here, it means that our stuff has been turned off, and I'll be unable to get to an internet unless I just I was going to say go to a Starbucks or whatever. But if our phone service gets turned off too, well then. That'll be even more difficult. But I can find a way. But anyway, again, I'm not begging for your money. If you want to help us in that way, it's fine. All the stuff is in the show notes. Should be. If you want to do that, that's not why I'm telling you this. I'm just saying, hey, we're at a spot. We need prayer. Things have begun collapsing with my health stuff. I can't hardly keep up. I can't hardly remember things from day to day. Like I'm fully aware of the moment, but then once I sleep and wake up, the long-term memories don't get really made. And if I'm reminded of something, I remember that it happened. But it's a difficult situation. It's sort of temporal loss, like you just kind of live in this bubble, and you just sort of exist in it, and it doesn't really have much meaning. And that's partly why, again, I haven't been here too much, because my desire is to be a benefit and to encourage you, not to come up here and tell you about all my problems, because everybody's got problems, and most of them are a lot worse than mine. I continually pray for people whose circumstances are far worse. I mean, this last week we lost a lovely sister that I've never met, but is a friend of a friend, and so part of our community in the UK. Leah, her first name, and she had been suffering with health issues, and then finally Dad took her home, which is, I think, great for her, because she's not suffering anymore, and she's at rest, and her work will follow her, right? But for the rest of us, we miss, those who love her are going to miss her in the same way that, I miss my mom. We had a complicated relationship. It wasn't always perfect, but I loved her, and I now miss her, in ways that I couldn't imagine before, because like many things, it's difficult to picture something until you go through it. So I do want to take the time, though, and not just give you my boo-hoo bullshit, right? But the point is, I do want to be of encouragement, and that's why, again, I haven't been here. I feel like, what do I have to say when I'm so down in the dumps and I'm so discouraged and downhearted? Right, I feel like I don't want to bring that kind of energy, and yet, I will say this. So, I got woken up about 10 days ago, something like that, and kind of in the way that I remember from years past, where I wake up in the arms of Dad, and his presence is fully there the moment I wake up, and I can smell him. The sweet smell, and I'm so delighted. It's like cold water when you're in a parched desert, and it's been so long. Since the way the world is, it's so hard. The signal-to-noise ratio is such. It's so often so hard to really hear clearly, to make sure that you're hearing clearly. There's so many distractions. So refreshing and so delightful to hear something directly. And I'm like, oh yes, hey Dad. And he came and brought me, comfort. And then I was like, oh, does this mean that things are going to change? It's like, yes. Oh, it's going to get better. No, hey, today, no, it's about to get much, much worse. So he just wanted to hug me a little tighter, give me kind of the chin up, right? So prepare yourself. But keep in mind, I'm still with you. I haven't left you. These things occurring are not because you've done wrong or you're under judgment, but because these things will happen. And I have in previous streams referred a number of times to Matthew 24 and Matthew 22 through 24, where Jesus is asked about the sign of his return and what will be, how we will know when he's going to come back. And of late, I have seen a number of things that really concern me on both sides of that equation, right? So Jesus himself said on more than one occasion, it is noted that he said, of that day or an hour, only the Father knows. The Son doesn't know the day or the hour, right? So anybody who thinks that they're going to set specific dates is, again, contrary to Scripture. And it will mislead you, right? Much like the Great Disappointment of 1844, when they were sure he was going to come, much like when they thought he was going to come in 1984. And then when that missed, they keep changing. 1985, just like in 1844, it was going to come in April, and then it didn't happen, and then it was going to come in August, and then it didn't happen. And it is from that what's called the Great Disappointment. In 1844 came the Millerite movement, and from which the church that I grew up in, Seventh-day Adventists, came from, interestingly enough. And their interpretation of prophecy is just, whack. One of the first things that, one of the first few things that led me to go, hey, you got, hey, this is wrong. That's not what this says. Anyway. But I want to share this with you because it shouldn't be a surprise. So if you are also, and I expect that if you're listening to this, there's a fairly good chance that you are right now under incredible pressure from the world around you. You might be on your last nerve, thinking that you cannot carry any more weight. And I understand. Truly I do. I speak to people every day nearly who are going through the burden of a lifetime, and some things that seem almost impossible to be able to handle. But again, I've quoted from Matthew 24 quite a bit, but I'm going to skip over here to Mark 13. So, as he was sitting on the Mount of Olives opposite the temple, this is, by the way, the complete Jewish Bible, so there's a lot of Hebrew names in here. They don't translate them to the Anglicanized. So Kepha, Yachav, Yachanan, Andrew, right? So some of his disciples asked him privately, tell us, when will these things happen? And what sign will show when all these things are about to be accomplished? Right? And so much as he said in Matthew 24, again, this is a retelling of the same occurrence. So it stands to reason you're going to get some of the same stuff. Yeshua would begin speaking to them. Watch out. Don't let anybody fool you. Many will come in my name. So the first thing he says, again, is be not deceived, right? Every single time he says, they say, what's going to be the sign of your return? First thing he says is, don't be deceived. So be not deceived. Many will come. Right? Don't let anybody fool you. Many will come in my name, saying, I am he, and they will fool many people. And you're going to hear the noise of wars nearby and wars far off. I think that we can say that that's pretty consistent right now. But don't be frightened. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come, right? So we still have some time here. No need to panic. But also, no reason to be complacent. That's what I'm getting to, right? Such things must happen, but the end is yet to come. For people will fight each other, and nations will fight each other, and there will be earthquakes in various places and famines. I think that again, I can pull this up if you want me to, but I trust that you have the capability yourself just to go to the USGS or any earthquake site and see that there are a number of interesting earthquake events over the last 2 years, certainly, but even in the last weeks, there have been some remarkable events going on. Famines, yes, food shortages are happening, and it's going to only increase as the provocations in war continue. right? The escalations are continuing. And it does appear, right, that they are full set on bringing this kind of slow rolling it at first, but they're going to bring it into apparently a worldwide conflict. And that serves their purposes, right? Because then they can come in and solve the problem, reaction, solution. So they get everybody involved in conflict, and then the UN can come in and solve this, and presumably with, air quotes here, the beast, right, their AI solution that's going to be perfect and, can't be corrupted, and it's going to be all-seeing, all-knowing, and we're going to have to worship it as God or, suffer the consequences. That seems to be the way that they plan to play it out. So... anyway, he says, watch yourselves, right? So anyway, it's going to be all this stuff, famines. These are but the beginning of the birth pangs, right? So that's what we knew at the beginning. And that's the way right here looks like we're at the beginning. But watch yourselves. And here's, again, I want you to, I know this is weird, but this is an encouragement. I know it seems weird to say bad news is an encouragement, but follow along with me. But you watch yourselves. They will hand you over to the local Sanhedrins. You'll be beaten up in synagogues and online, and on my online account here, on my account, you will stand before governors and kings as witnesses to them. Sorry about that. Comes with the territory. Indeed, the good news has to be proclaimed first to all the, see here, notice it says Goyim, translated as all the world in the King James Version. But here we say, here in the complete Jewish Bible, they translated it as Goy. A term used by Jewish people for a non-Jewish person. The Goyim. How many times do we get to hear that? Yeah. Anyway. But what did he say? The good news to those people. Interesting. Now, when they arrest you and bring you to trial, don't worry beforehand about what to say. Rather, say whatever is given you when the time comes. For it will not be just you speaking, but the Ruach HaKodesh, right? That's the spirit of truth. The word. Yeah, I can change translations here, and you can see that. Darby Reams is a good one. Let's see here. That's right. And to all nations, right? The gospel must be first preached. So nations to everybody, right? So not just the Jewish nation. All right. And when they shall lead and deliver you up, don't be thoughtful beforehand about what you'll say, right? Not in your own strength, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord of hosts. But whatever you shall be given in that hour, that speak ye, say that. For it is not you that speaks, but the Holy Ghost, right? But here's what I want to get to the next one. And the brother shall betray his brother unto death, and the father his son, and the children shall rise up against the parents, and shall work their death. And you will be hated by all men for my name's sake. But he that shall endure to the end shall be saved. And so when you end up coming to the first part of James, and the very first thing it says here, right now we found that this is a little bit troubling, right? It says James, right? Chapter 1 here. First, the intro. Hey, this is James to you guys. How are you? Number 2, hey, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. And that's not just temptations, but that's bad situations, right? So, whenever you trust in the Great Spirit, it's tested, right? Your trust is tested. Counted. This is the First Nations edition, right? They wrote it for the Native Americans. Hey, Brett, how are you? It's good to see you. But what he says here is true, right? Each of those adversities is an opportunity to trust in Dad. And it's never fun. Trust me, I know. I know. I've been doing this a long time. It's a drag. It's painful. But at each step, what I find is that each one of those tests build me up to walk the next step. And I could never have taken the next step without the previous one. And at each stage, he is turning me into somebody better, somebody that I would not have imagined previously. that I wouldn't. I didn't have a very high opinion of myself, and now I still don't have a lofty opinion, but at least I'm graceful. you know, I don't beat myself up for the failure so much. I just trust Dad to make it better, but also work to make it better. Right? If anyone needs wisdom, ask the Great Spirit. Ask Dad, for he freely gives wisdom to all who ask and never holds back. So again, the trick here, right? Again, back to Matthew 24, he that endures to the end will be saved. But this is the part I want to get here, right? So he says of that day, an hour, nobody knows. But he also says, so then then there's the argument made. Well, why even pay attention, right? So he says, nobody knows, not even him, so why should we worry? He says, now learn this lesson from the fig tree. Again, this is still Matthew 24, right? So this is not like completely out of context. It's within the same context. It's the same conversation. He says, now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its branches become tender and sprout leaves, you know that summer's near. So also, when you see all these things, you'll know that he is near, right at the door. So truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass, right, till these things happen. And I think this has, again, been misinterpreted to try to imply that he was talking about this generation that was speaking to him then. And it seems, when you read this in the Greek, that the antecedent, this generation, is the generation that he's speaking of, right? So when he says, when you see all these things happen, you will know that he is near, right at the door. That generation will not pass away until all these things happen. Like once it starts, it's going to be over pretty quickly. That's where I think we're going there, right? But the number of people who want to, air quotes, try to debunk or deride this stuff is never ending. It doesn't bother me. I'm not here to convince them. I'm not even here to try to convince you. I'm just sharing with you the stuff that I come to, right? And the point that I wanted to, the reason I'm even here tonight, right, is not that I have anything extraordinary, to say, other than, hey, sorry I've been away for a while. I don't like it either. My intent was to come back strong and regularly. And unfortunately, health issues prevented that. And now, financial issues as well. It's going to take every effort. We're trying desperately to sell a bunch of stuff to try to get back on our feet, to take care of these things. And it's just like, but the thing is, right, I'm not panicking. I know that Dad will care for us. But I am asking, for prayer for that, because we're in a spot. And then the next thing is to be able to get out of here and get somewhere else so we don't even know how it's going to happen. I'm discovering, much to my great chagrin, this neurological thing is really, really damaging to my physical ability to do things. Peripheral neuropathy in the hands means that that there's tremors, and I don't have good fine motor control, so I'm constantly like dropping things, and I can't handle fine detail work, which is bad. And then also the larger muscle groups, right? About a third or a quarter of the strength that I used to have. So I used to be a pretty strong guy. And now it's just, they don't fire right. So everything is a struggle. It's not what I imagined. I figured there would be all other troubles that I would have, but not this. Anyway, as disappointing as it is, I'm not giving up, and I want to move forward. And I have some plans for that. But first, we need to get through this. So just keep us in prayer, because the next things I want, again, prayer on. I'm pretty sure that this is of Dad, and this is something he wants to do, and I think this is the next step. I've been speaking for a while about wanting to do some kind of hippie commune, and I think eventually we'll probably get there. Again, I don't believe he gives you the vision without the provision, but I think the next step is to try to do this busking tour thing. So bus, king, but anyway, grab a motorhome and get a few people and just drive around place to place, and do what I do here. The little noodle saying, it's not even about performing. It's really to set up an opportunity for people to come together and do the shaking hands with strangers chop, right? To meet people who are not like you, and to take a moment, even like 30 minutes, to have a non-confrontational non-adversarial conversation. Get to know them, find out what they're about, and listen not to provide an answer, to shoot them down for their beliefs, but to really try to better understand who they are. And I really believe that if you do that sincerely, you will find that your neighbor, even people who have beliefs very different from your own, are not that different than you. And we all fundamentally want some of the same things. We want to be healthy and happy, and our family to be safe, right? And these basic things, most people don't really want to take away from others. They just want enough for themselves, and they want to be left alone. But everybody's got different ideas about the best way to do that. And then when they get sold ideas that turns everybody else into the enemy, the reason why you can't have those good things, then that's where the problems start. But if you can understand by looking the other guy in the eye, guy, gal, whomever, sit down across from them, shake their hand, look them in the eye, and find out that they're a real person and they're decent. Even if they believe something wildly different than you, probably, even if they're bought into something that we know is not helpful, usually they get bought into it because it appeals to their better nature. Most people who are liberal-minded are so because they believe in this idea of social equality, right? It's a good premise, I suppose, that everybody be sort of have equal opportunity, right? But they're not going for equal opportunity; they're going for equal outcome, which is preposterous. Nevertheless, right? They appeal to the angels of our better nature, so that we are more likely to affirm what they're doing as something positive. When I assume that you know this already, that all of that is a ruse. They only do that to get you to buy in so they can do their underhanded sneakiness, right? The Hegelian dialectic and problem, reaction, solution, that's how it goes. And to provide you with a ready-made adversary that is not truly your adversary, but simply another group that is in competition for same resources that those in charge are stealing from you. So they're stealing the resources from you, but then telling you that it's your neighbor who's the real problem, and you must go attack them, or you don't stand a chance of survival. They tell that to both sides so that they attack one another. This is, this, right? I'm not telling you anything new. But what I am saying is that we're at a point now where that polarization has heightened to such a contrast. There is no really middle ground anymore, such that, and you can see this around you, that if someone takes a politically opposing viewpoint, you can not just agree to disagree, but you're going to have to completely ostracize them, and if possible, try to get them canceled, right? So now you have cancel culture. You're going to try to get them fired from their job and kicked out of their housing community and out of the golf club and everything else because they said something that you don't agree with. It's just wild. But it's not unexpected. Again, if we go here and just, quickly go here to the last book here, being Revelation. I'm going to go down a little further. Come on. Oh, dear. That's what happens when I put it on this screen. It just... come on. There we go. To go like that. I believe it's in Revelation 6. All right. So we have the white horse first. And again, this is an interesting one. He was given, a rider held a bow, something to poke you with. He was given a crown, a corona, and he rode out to overcome and conquer. Also, it's said that he went out to conquer that he might conquer. It's a conquering and to conquer. American Standard Version here says conquering and to conquer as well. I think NIV, let's see what King James has to say here. Yeah, this is the one I always thought was weird. He went forth conquering and to conquer. Okay, and again, I'm not saying for 100%, I'm just saying I can read it this way. How about that? If things start to line up, right? This is what I'm seeing. Behold, a white horse. This is the first one. And he that sat on him had a bow. That's something to poke you with, to shoot you with, to get the shot. A crown was given to him. That's a corona. And and he went forth conquering and to conquer. This is what they did to get everybody in lockstep, and it kicked it off. And then when he had to open the second seal, or the second beast say, come and see, and there was a horse that was red, and power was given him to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given to him a great sword. And I used to always read that, just assuming that this would meant worldwide warfare, that there would be numerous wars everywhere. And on the one hand, that is kind of happening. But on the other hand, I think it's better, and in fact, it's better interpretation, I think, and more visible. We can see it right now, that people have lost their shit. They are at their wits' end, and when they see their neighbor as an enemy, they take them on. And not just their neighbor, but the number of cases that I see every day of people who self-delete and then take their family with them is horrifying, right? And I'll get into that again at another date. I've mentioned it before, but I think it deserves a much closer look, and that is it looks to me like we are infested by darkness, that demons are here and they are messing with people. And in cases, if you want to say possessing people or strongly influencing them, it is all over the news, except they won't tell you about it. People will very plainly say, when arrested in interviews, that, that they were, attacked by a demon, or they thought they were, like, they bring all this stuff up and they immediately dismiss it like, oh, you're just going for a crazy defense. And a couple of them, that might be right, but a couple of them that I've seen, they were very definitely terrified by something. You can go, oh, it's a mental health issue? Fine. But it's not, it looks, and again, when Jesus started doing miracles, after the water to wine, that's his first one, but thereafter, the number one by far miracle that he performed was casting out demons. So, just saying. And I found it really interesting. In fact, I should bring this one up. I'll bring it up later. But I noted in one of them that it was in one of the passages, it said that he, because we often, in our modern mindset, we'll say, oh, okay, it wasn't demon possession. It was just like they were having an epileptic seizure or whatever. Very interesting in that one, it says that they brought him and he cast out demons and healed epileptics and paralytics. So, no, he already covered that one. So they weren't just epileptics, because they covered that one as well. They already knew what epilepsy was, and they knew how. So, yeah, there you go. In any case, there you have it. So, all that to get here. My most sincere apologies for being away longer than I'd like. My intention is to be back consistently, right? That's the best way to do it. I do it now when I can, but I had to come here tonight and say, hold on, right? Hold on, because I know for a fact that if you're following the way, if you're trying to follow Dad home, you're getting your ass kicked right now. I know that for a fact, because there's no way that you're not. Right, because it says clearly, right, that they are going to take you on, right, as enemies of God. It says that they will kill you, thinking they're doing God a service, right, and including your family, right. Brother shall betray brother unto death, and the father his son, and children shall rise up against the parents. Right, this is happening right now, all around us. And again, sure, you can say it's happened before. It has, but never at this, never to this level that I've seen in my life. And I've been here a minute, right? But here we go, right? So the fig tree, learn a parable. When the branch is now tender and the leaves are come forth, summer's very near. So also, when you see these things come to pass, know that it's very near, even at the doors. Right? He's telling us you can know. You don't need to know the day or hour, right? But you need to know to be ready. Right? Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word will not pass away. But of that day or hour no man knows, neither the angels in heaven, not even the Son, but the Father. But take heed and watch and pray, for you don't know when the time is. Right? He says, just like a man who goes off in a far country, and then he as his servants. He tells them to watch, right? Watch, therefore, because you don't know when the Lord of the house is coming, even midnight or the cock crowing or in the morning, right? Lest on coming, he finds you asleep, right? And this is what I say to you all, watch. And this is the words of Jesus, right? Be awake, be aware. Choose now which way you will go, right? And I promise you, I'm the worst salesman ever, because I promise you, if you do this, your life will be miserable. No, I mean, yes, but the result, right? What does it profit a man if he gain the whole world but lose his own soul? All right, this is it. This is for all the marvels. This is the end game. We're here, right? We're here, I think, and it's just starting. But it also says that if it weren't, sorry, I want to get to. Let's see here. Thinking. Let's see here, 13, 14 maybe, where it says. No, I think it would have been 13 or in Matthew. And maybe it was in Luke that I saw it. But again, he says, in hand with, don't let anybody deceive you, right? So these are but the beginning of sorrows, right? But he says, if it were not for, here we go. And you will be hated by all men for my name's sake, right? And he that endure to the end shall be saved. Endure, right? Here's the one I wanted to hit you with. And unless the Lord had shortened the days, no flesh would have been saved. But for the sake of the elect, which he has chosen, he has shortened the days. Right? Because he says, for in those days there will be such tribulations as were not from the beginning of the creation which God created until now, neither shall be. And if a worldwide deluge that killed everybody but 6 people, 8 people, a bunch of animals, if that doesn't compare to this, yeah, it's pretty bad. So again, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news. I'm not here to scare you. I'm not here to offer fear porn. I'm just here to tell you what Jesus said. He said, be ready, right? Watch, be watchful, pray. And I am watching, and it does seem that we're on the verge. These things are lining up. And again, my apologies that I meant to be here earlier going through all these things already. But circumstances being such, right, as I said, things are of such difficulty and took priority and still are, right? Like tomorrow's going to be a very busy day because I got to convince everybody not to turn everything off. So pray for us. Yeah, it's coming, and I want you to be ready, right? But be not dismayed. Don't be afraid, because he's here with us, right? And fear not those who can kill the body, but those who can kill the body and the soul in hell, right? That's what Jesus said. So he that endures to the end shall be saved. Keep enduring. And if you need to talk, hit me up, right? I'm having a shitty time too, but I'm always willing to talk. And I'm always willing to pray for others because I think it's what we're meant to do, to pray for one another. Yeah. Hey, Thomas. If you mean they, if you mean the, whatever that the other group, they did what they were, going to do because there's no evidence. They just kind of kept jumping from allegation to allegation and, shoot it down. At one point, I thought about just bringing all the receipts and just showing what everybody did. And it's just kind of beneath me, man. It's like what I said then is the same thing I'll say now. Is if you had any questions, just go ask Dad, right? I trust him. And if I could get him to lie for me, that'd be a pretty good trick, right? So just go ask him. And that should be enough. If it's not, right, then, if there's doubt, I don't know. It's just like it comes to a point where you show everything and then people will go, oh, you just fake this, fake that, right? I'm not interested in it. And I'm really not interested. Yeah, I have been honest um, and transparent, but it's okay, right? It's all right. Again, I'm not mad. I'm actually in strange ways appreciative because I'm glad it had to happen sooner than later, right? That when people show you who they are, you should listen. And that's all, right? I have my thoughts about it. I have my suspicions, but that's all, right, about the whys and wherefores. And, it doesn't really matter either way. So it is what it is. And I am where I hate to say it, but I need to be right now. Like I would rather be out of here already and have this already done and the next chapter going, frankly, because this is not easy. And I don't like it. But and I don't even know how, right, I'm going to get through the next even couple of months, right? Because that's why I titled this Living in Uncertainty, right? Because I don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, next. I think I have a sense of what is coming, but I don't know what exactly to do next. And so that's my concern, right? Is that I need to listen as closely as I can for direction. And in my normal way is if I don't hear anything, I need to go back to the last thing I do for sure and do that. And I'm not sure at this point that is that. I mean, I just really, it's the still small voice I'm listening for, right? And so I was so delighted when Dad closed in just a few days ago, right? And it really gave me a hug, right? I was like, oh, good, things are going to get better. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, here to tell you that it's actually going to get tougher, right? But I want you to know that I'm not leaving you, right? I'm here every step of the way. And that's good enough, right? It's good enough. So, but I want to encourage you that I'm not special in that way, right? It's not just coming to encourage me and just ignoring you, right? The contrite spirit and a broken heart, he will never turn away, right? So just be honest. Just be honest with him. Be transparent. He will answer. I have no doubt. And for those who have said that, oh, I tried and I didn't get anything, I don't know. Maybe try again and be sincere. Right? I'm not questioning your intentions. I'm just saying my experience and everything that I know says without question that those who approach in humility and sincerity are going to get an answer, right? And that answer is going to be, I love you. And what I really want to hear is, well done, thou good and faithful servant. And right now, my trouble is, I'm not sure I'm doing well enough for that, right? I feel like I have stumbled at every opportunity. Not that I've done anything wrong or to harm anybody, but I have been racked with grief and guilt and uncertainty. And that's, I guess I, in some ways, use it as an excuse, I suppose, to say this is why I'm not meant to lead anybody, right? I'm not trying to do any of that because I'm too cautious in that respect. And our people need somebody ready to go out and, hit those battles. But I certainly am willing to hit the battles. I just need to do it smart. But I'm not interested in being anybody's leader, But if you want to go with me as I walk home, fuck yeah, let's do it, right? It's just, I'm not anybody's boss. That's just not how I rule. Your boss is Dad. Listen to him. Do what he says. If you're doing what he says, I'll be happy, right? Everybody. So I need to do what he says too. And then when I fail in that, right? When he nudges me and says, hey, do a stream, and I'm too tired, or if you feel like I don't have anything of value to say, that I'm going to be discouraging instead of encouraging to his people. Yeah, well, obviously that's disobedience, and I have to account for that. Because while nothing we can do none of our works, good works, will impress him. None of our bad works is enough to keep him from forgiving us. However, he does explicitly say, right, that at the end he will give unto each according to what he has done. And I, for one, am terrified that I have floundered and wasted most of my entire life just trying to figure my shit out when he gave me so many skills and talents that I was supposed to use to help others. And what did I do? Just like the parable of the talents, I buried them, right? Afraid to mistake, to make a mistake, afraid to do wrong. But knowing that when it came to the end that I'd probably be called on and go, okay, just leave me on the bench until it's time to go. And but now it's time to go, right? So game on, fourth quarter, last 2 minutes. It's time to play. And I promise you I'll do my best, right? I can't say I'll do well. I'll do my best. But my responsibility is to my king, right? And when I am not faithful to what I was given to stream or to go through this stuff that I've been threatening to for 8 weeks now, to run through the stuff that he showed me in Revelation that I bumped into and went, whoa, that's hairy. He's like, yeah, share that, right? And then I keep kind of leading up to it, but there's always the other stuff that gets in the way, right? And I just like, that's an excuse. So, it's not an excuse, but it's I don't know, justification or whatever, right? There certainly is the truth that I suffer from myalgic encephalomyelitis, right? It's a chronic fatigue thing. Just a couple, even just getting out of bed in the first 20 minutes of walking around can make you sick, right? Because you're just transitioning from laying down to getting up. You got to get through that first one. And if you don't throw up then you might have a chance to make it for a couple more hours. And that's the way your day goes. Again, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's the challenge that I guess sort of some ways makes it easy to go, yeah, it's when I feel better, right? But what has happened frequently, especially as it comes to the evenings or weekends when I plan to do a stream, it's like, okay, when I feel better, I'll do it. And then I'll feel a little bit better. And that's the first time I felt better. So then, I do something with my wife or do one of the many, many chores that I don't do when I'm ill that need to be done. And so then I do it. And then, of course, the moment's passed and I'm too weary to do the thing. So that's on me. And I have to be responsible for that. But I think my responsibility here is to try as best I can to encourage and be your cheerleader if I can. Again, from time to time, sure, I'll throw out some of that old school physics research. I love that stuff. But as what I began to say, which again I think is probably the beginning of what predicated me getting kicked out of the cool kids club. Is that in spite of all we find out about the secrets of our world, right, the ultimate goal, I think, is to resume or at least engage in a relationship with our Creator, because that's the only way it's going to work. And if we're not doing that and we're doing everything else, aren't we just avoiding Him? And isn't that just another detour? That's me, and I asked that question, and it didn't land well, right? So, and for obvious and understandable reasons, but nevertheless, that was not going to keep me from continuing to say, hey, I think we're closer than many people think we are, and I'm not again going to go out with a sandwich board, at least this week, and with the end is near. Oh, that's not how I go. And I'm not going to set any dates and go, I think it's going to be this long. I have my eye on some things, but I'm just watching the way the wind blows, right? Seeing things line up and develop, and I feel a responsibility not just from what I see, but from being directly nudged by Dad to go, hey, talk. So here I am talking. But I do have some specific things to say, and that's on me to put it all together in a way that is understandable and push through it. So we're going to start that. I keep saying that, but I had to just, again, this evening go, hey, I know I've been away for a little while. I've been trying to get it going. Lots of stuff going on. And I've been, but here's another example, right? I've been was trying to get in touch with my doctor to renew a couple of prescriptions and ask about, hey, I want to try some stuff with these vitamins, right, for myelin sheath development using a combination of like niacin, thiamine, all the B complex stuff to see, and to find out if there's any better way to. Anyway, couldn't get a hold of her, couldn't. I kept trying to make an appointment, and they were pushing me out until like February. And then I come to find out that my doctor is gone and no longer with Pacific Medical. So all that work is kind of gone. I mean, I have all the medical records, but I have to start over, And I mean, I have other people I was working with, some specialists, but, and then I got the one doctor that I talked to just to get the prescription, and she's giving me a rash of shit, like, trying to, I don't know, treat me like a child because like, oh, well, weren't you going to, look, I see that here in the records you were at the University of Washington Neurological Department and they were going to set you up for the study. Yes, I hadn't heard back from them. Why didn't you call them back? Well, are you familiar with how depression works? Yeah, anyway. But yeah, being berated basically, like you're going to do that like a child. It's like, if I could... If that were easy, I would have already done it. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I had hoped that we would have everything figured out medically before I left. I was of the mindset that would be how it would go. We'd figure it out. I'd get some correction, and then off we go. At least I know the major part. The other stuff, I don't know. I'm just going to trust Dad through all this, but it does seem like in the developments of the last 2 weeks, it is very clearly time to get out. We've been trying for a while. Everything's in storage. I've been trying to repack stuff, but again, the myalgic encephalomyelitis, chronic fatigue certainly doesn't help with that. So I need your prayers, right? Probably more than ever, right, for the next 60 days, just to try to get as much done as possible, and we know what to do and where to go. I don't even know where to go. Like, again, I have some ideas, I have some thoughts, but I don't have any clear direction, which is typical with Dad. Just like everything else, never too much and never too soon, right at the last minute, to make sure that we trust him, and I do. And so I'm not panicking, but it is unsettling, and I'm always uncomfortable with uncertainty. But anyway, why I'm here is really I know it's a roundabout way to do it, but I wanted to encourage you to go, look, my situation is not great, right? And you know that, and I'm not trying to make any more of it or minimize it or anything. It is what it is, and I wish it wasn't the way it was. It's hard to deal with, and in some ways it's even harder on my poor little wifey because she feels helpless to do anything for me when I'm in the midst of sickness and it looks like death. I mean, it looks like I'm going to die when I'm having one of those major issues, and it's scary. And so I wish it weren't that way. And I wish, for your sake, it weren't this way. I wish that things hadn't gone down the way they did, and that everybody could still be friends and having a good time and meeting together and drinking coffee, and that's what I would have wanted. And things are different now, right? So anyway, but I have no regrets. I've met so many people that I love so much, and I have the opportunity to pray for them frequently. So that's good, right? And but there are others that I continue to worry about, and that I haven't heard from for a while. And I don't know if I offended them or if they're just going through it. Either could be the case. Don't know, right? I don't want to think that I've offended people, but I know that People can get offended. I certainly don't try to, but it is what it is. Anyway, my point being, look, I'd love to hear from you. Just send me a note. If you need something you want prayer for, let me know that. I'd love your prayers, and we need them, especially tomorrow. It's a big day. And I don't know what's going to happen. So, anyway, here we are. I love you guys so much. I'll play some pre-recorded music on the way out because that's what I do. But I just want to say, thanks for being who you are, and thanks for being a friend. And if you've prayed for me in the past, thank you. I really appreciate that. If you've donated to us or to any of the causes, I thank you for that. Anyway, yeah, I think that's all for tonight. I'll be back as soon as I can. I'll try to do evenings. I'm going to try to jump in. Sign up for in the show notes. You'll find the link to the other channel, Mologoses Exegesis. I haven't put anything up there yet. I don't think I will though. I think I want to put the very specific, like Revelation breakdowns and that sort of stuff. I want to kind of clip those and put those there. But in the interim, if you would pray for me, I appreciate it. Pray for one another. If you need prayer, and you probably do, let me know. Happy to pray for you. I think we're supposed to do that for one another. And so again, if you're here, I expect that you're also going through great difficulty, and I pray for you and courage and resilience and strength and hope and faith. Dad, I just would ask that, again, you just touch everybody who's here now and who will be here, who listens to these words. I just ask that you bless them, and you send your spirit to touch them and to raise them up, to let them know that they are not alone and that you have them covered and that no weapon formed against them shall prosper and that they are your beloved child. And you love us extravagantly in ways that we cannot yet even imagine. I cannot wait to see your face. Thank you, Dad. I love you so much. Love you guys too. Hope you have a great evening. And we'll see you again, hopefully this week. Hopefully we'll see how it goes. Anyway, we will.